Okay, hi everyone. So my last video, which was my first video, was kind of a bit too serious, a bit too deep. So I'm gonna lighten the mood with this one, cause Gossip Girl, right? Gossip Girl. The thing with me and Gossip Girl is, I remember when it was actually on TV, like back in the day, and I used to watch it in passing. So my cousins would watch it, and then I would just sit there for decoration, and I'd watch it with them. And I remember hating the show so much. I was like, this show it's such a shambles. What the hell? This show is just so useless. This show is so trash. This show is this. It is kind of trash, but in a good way. Like it's trash, but it's drama. Which is why I decided to watch it when I got older, like way after the shows ended, and I actually enjoyed it. I'd say Gossip Girl is in my like top 10 TV shows. So yeah, we're just gonna have a discussion here today with all you Gossip Girl guys and girls, all you fans out there. If you've watched the show and you just want to have a discussion about it, then stay here. So yeah, let me give you the premise of the show. So basically, episode 1 of Gossip Girl starts with the arrival of this character called Serena Vanderwoodson. Now, why that's important is because apparently Serena, she disappeared for a year out of nowhere, didn't say bye to anyone, burnt so many bridges. She just dipped, she just said bye bye. She didn't even say bye, she just left. And people are like, where's Serena? And all of a sudden, she just shows up one day at Grand Central Station, and then word starts to spread around and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, did I mention it's set in the Upper East Side of New York? So it deals with socialites and society people and that kind of demographic. So, even though I said Gossip Girl is in my top 10 favourites, and yes, it is, I have so many bones to pick with this show. I have so many bones to pick with it. But I'm not going to get into that now. Now I'm just going to go through characters I liked and characters I didn't like. So, characters I liked first. I liked Lily. I liked Rufus, season 1 to season 3 Rufus. And I'll explain why. And I liked Blair and Chuck. Obviously, who didn't like Blair and Chuck? And I liked Nathaniel Archibald. Love that guy. But that's it. That's literally all the likable characters that are in there. And even with these likable characters, it's not like I love them so much. Maybe Blair. Blair is the only character that like she makes this show. Like without Blair, this show would have just derailed a long time ago. She doesn't even need Chuck as a counterpart. She can just carry the show on her own. Blair Waldorf is an amazing character. And so is Chuck as well, but Blair is my favourite character. But anyways, apart from Blair, there's not any other character where I'm like, oh my god, they're so amazing, this character is so good. It's just Blair. Blair is literally the only thing this show has. But now, characters I don't like. I don't like Rufus's character after season 3 or season 4. After he gets married to Lily, he's never the same again. I hated Dan, hated Serena, hated Jenny, hated Vanessa, and I hated Georgina. I think that's all the characters right there, yeah. Now, Dan and Serena. Let me go into these two. Let me go into these two, right? I'm gonna say it. Season 1 of Gossip Girl is their strongest season. It just is. Thinking back now, I'm like, hold on. Yes, season 1, see? Because that's when all the characters are perfect. That's when you're not like, oh, I hate this character and I hate that character. Yeah, you might hate Chuck, but you're meant to hate Chuck. He is portrayed as the villain of the show. You're meant to hate him. It makes sense for you to hate him. That's what the show wants you to do. But even then, even within season 1, you kind of see like a shift in Chuck's character, especially that episode that I think it was episode 7 of season 1 where he builds that club or whatever, the Victrola, I think it was called. That's where you can see a shift in Chuck's character. You see some character development going on. That's why you can never really say, for season 1, there's not really a character to hate. There's not really dislikable characters. Only Yeah, there's not any dislikable characters. Even Dan and Serena are tolerable. That's why I like season 1. It's because that's when Dan and Serena are at their tolerable most. Okay, their most tolerable state. And what do I mean by that? You know what? Let me go with Serena, because I think that's the most obvious one. And I am not alone in this. It is a common consensus that Serena is just a bitch. She is so entitled, such a narcissist, so selfish, immature, not responsible, can't take accountability, so stupid. And I know what you're saying. Some people might think, oh yeah, but they're all entitled because they're all rich and da 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 da. Yes, I know. I know they're meant to be entitled. Blair is entitled. But her entitlement is more of like, it's more natural. Let me explain. It's because all the characters in Gossip Girl are entitled. Even the not rich ones, even someone like Dan or Jenny, they are all entitled. But their entitlement, it works. It works for their environment. Blair is the most entitled girl ever. Oh my god. When she felt like she had a right to go to Yale and she tried to sabotage her opponents, that's entitlement. But for some reason it works. Because it doesn't get in the way of the plot. It's just in their character. It shouldn't get in the way of the plot or anything like that. It shouldn't be a cause for drama or a cause for anything, because that's just in their personality. They're meant to be entitled. Even Nate is entitled. They are all entitled. But with Serena, oh my days. Serena needs a slap in the face. That you can tell. I'm so happy that the show kind of lost focus of Serena in the later seasons. She was still meant to be the main character, but they didn't focus on her as much as they did in season 1, which I am so happy, because it allowed other characters like Blair to flourish. Characters like Chuck to flourish. Because all Serena did was complain 24/7. That's literally all she did, was complain 24/7. She'd make up problems out of nowhere. She would self-sabotage herself. She would mess something up and then she would blame others. It made no sense. And then they would end up apologizing, or they would end up making it up to her when it's really her fault. I just hated Serena so much. She was a mess of a character. A mess of a character. When you have a main character... Listen, when you have a main character of the show, people are meant to like that main character. No one liked Serena. I guarantee you, no one... Show me one person that likes Serena. Listen, if you're a Serena fan, please, I'd like to know why. I would love to know why, because I haven't met one person who liked Serena. Speaking of Serena, let's go on to Dan. Dan Humphrey. Dan, I liked you. Season 1, you were fine. Like... I get it, Dan. I get it. You was the only working class guy in the private school. It was you versus them. You were getting bullied. But post season 1, no. It was okay. Dan's whole me versus them. Oh, I'm just a poor little boy from Brooklyn and they're so rich. That was cute in season 1. That made sense in season 1. But after that, it makes no sense. Dan turns into the most self-righteous character I have ever seen on TV. Dan, oh my god. In season 1, it made sense for him to think like that. It made sense for him to be like, oh, I don't have as much privilege as you do. And It made sense because he was a loner. I mean, his name was Lonely Boy, which he called himself that. But I will get onto that later. But Dan was a loner. He actually was a loner. His name of Lonely Boy made sense because he was a lonely boy. He was getting bullied by Chuck. He was in love with Serena, but Serena never noticed him. Blair was always mean to him. No one liked him. He was always an outcast. He was just invisible and he was getting bullied. So it made sense for Dan to be like, oh, you have so much privilege and I don't... It made sense for him to have that mentality. But after season 1, Dan, you're literally one of them. You have infiltrated the group. You're in the friendship group. No matter what they say in the show, Dan is a part of them now. He has become part of that group. And he becomes best friends with Nathan. So where is this? I don't understand. Why do you still have that self-righteous mentality? And it's not endearing at all. The writers think it's cute because the way they bang on about Dan's us, me versus us, me versus them mentality, the way the writers bang on about that, they must thought it was a good idea, but it wasn't. It's not cute, Dan. Dan, it's not cute. It's not cute. And let's not even talk about when Rufus got married to Lily. Dan, you're literally one of them now. And he still has that mentality. And by extension, that's why Vanessa, you're just jealous. Vanessa, that's all it is. You are just a jealous person. That's all it is. You're jealous. You're not... Listen, Vanessa has this superiority complex. That, oh, because I had to struggle and I did this, I am so much better than everyone. Yes, you have had less privileges compared to the other private school kids, compared to the Upper East Siders. Of course you have had less privilege. Of course. But bitch, I don't need to hear about it 24/7. Like, Vanessa, instead of owning her accomplishments, instead of being like, yeah, I had to struggle, but then I got into NYU, I did this, I did it all by myself. No. All she spends her time doing is spiting others. And this is how I know she's jealous. Because when there's like that time when she sabotaged Blair. I remember when her and Blair had that little... No, it was her and Jenny, yes! When her and Jenny were fighting over Nate and she hid that letter from Jenny. Vanessa, you are just as bad as the other ones. And even when her and Blair had that rivalry, it makes sense for Blair to want to sabotage Vanessa. But for Vanessa to sabotage Blair, it's not meant to be in her character. It doesn't make sense. And this is the thing with this show, right? So you have the Upper East Siders, these society people, the upper class people, and then you have the normal people like Dan or Jenny and Vanessa. It doesn't make sense for them all to behave. They all behave in the same way with the same toxic sabotage, manipulation, betrayal, everything. It makes sense for Serena, Nate, Chuck, Blair. It makes sense for their group, them not to be acting like that. But Vanessa, Dan, and Jenny, they should not be acting like this at all. It doesn't make sense. You need to have two opposing sides. You need to have two contrasting types of behaviors, because they are from contrasting worlds. They are from literally the opposite side of of the bridge. You need to have those contrasting behaviors to reflect the contrasting backgrounds that they come from. So it doesn't make sense for them to be acting all in the same way. It's just, that's why this show is a shambles. You need to have Dan, Vanessa, and Jenny. You need to have them being more humble, if that makes sense. They can't be partaking in all this manipulation, sabotaging, betrayal, deception, all of that, just like how the Upper East Siders do it. Because it doesn't make sense. Why would you behave like that? It does not make sense. Like, that has not been your life. Like, you don't... But I digress. Now, Rufus. This is how I know the writers of this show, they're not doing the job properly. Rufus, what happened? Rufus from like season 1, I'd say, to season 3, or up to when he gets married to Lily. I loved Rufus. Rufus was like, he was the cool dad, but he wasn't like too laid back, but he was still, he was laid back, he was chill, he was like, he had a strong sense of personality, like, yeah, I'm Rufus Humphrey. He had a good sense of humour. He could stand alone, if that makes sense. Like, I could watch a scene with just Rufus and it would make sense. Like, I wouldn't get bored. I could watch a scene with just him and Lily and they still would hold their own. It would still make sense. But then Rufus's character gets so flushed out after he gets married to Lily. It's like he's no longer Rufus Humphrey. He's just Lily's husband. And even after they split up and everything, he never goes back to being that cool Rufus. The Rufus with the sense of humour, with the charisma, with the He's no longer that person. You see, he's out there wearing cardigans and stuff like that. This is not the Rufus Humphrey I know, okay? And that's why Rufus, they really destroyed Rufus's character. They really did. Rufus's character, wow. It's like the writers didn't care. Like, they expected Lily's character to kind of work for Rufus. It makes no sense. Yeah, it makes no sense. And also, oh yeah, this show is so predictable. This show is so predictable, and it's usually like that with every 2000s show. They kind of use the same cliches and stuff like that. Whereas I feel like now, story writing or how TV shows are written today is more complex because people have gotten used to those cliches. But my God, Gossip Girl is so predictable, so predictable. Why? Why is it that in the first time I ever decided to watch that show, okay, properly, season 1, episode 1, not even 10 minutes in, I was like, Dan is Gossip Girl. Dan is Gossip Girl. He is Gossip Girl. He's gonna be Gossip Girl, isn't he? Yeah, he is Gossip Girl. And guess what? He's Gossip Girl. And it makes no sense as well. No, this is where the writing is just... The writing on this show is so shambolic. It actually doesn't make sense. Gossip Girl, that's what I'm saying. The only reason why I like Gossip Girl is for the drama. And it's because it was entertaining. Don't try to overanalyze it. Don't try to make sense of anything. Just watch it for pure entertainment. And that's the only way you can watch Gossip Girl. Because the writing doesn't make sense. Why is Dan Gossip Girl when there has been numerous occasions where they've gotten a blast from Gossip Girl and Dan is literally right there? Why would Dan bully himself so much if he was Gossip Girl? Why would he sabotage himself to the extent that he has sabotaged himself? It makes no sense. And it's not like Pretty Little Liars where it was like Mona was A for a while and then it got taken over by Cece. No! Dan was Gossip Girl from to finish. And it just does not make any sense. This show makes no sense. But anyways, I'm going to move on to unpopular opinions. And I feel like the biggest, and I think this is the most unpopular opinion I have about this show. I actually liked Dan and Blair together. Sue me. I loved when Dan and Blair were together. It was so endearing. I loved it. Even Dan's character was like more tolerable when he was with Blair. And it made sense. Because think about it. They are both intellectuals. They're well cultured. That's the thing with Dan and Blair. They are smart people. They are well cultivated. They have similar interests. So it makes sense for those two to come together. They were so compatible. I'm even going to say it. They were more compatible than Dan and Serena together. And don't get me wrong, I actually like Dan and Serena together. I can't see the show going any other way apart from Dan and Serena being together. But yeah, I don't know. Sue me. I liked Dan and Blair. Moving on, I think Lily and Rufus were a stronger couple compared to Dan and Serena. Light years. They were light years better than Dan and Serena. Even though I wanted the show to end with Dan and Serena because I knew the show was going to end up with Dan and Serena in the end. Literally, that's how the show presents itself. Season 1, episode 1, you know Dan and Serena are endgame. There is no way about it. But Lily and Rufus, they are a stronger couple. And the thing is, the creators of this show, in the middle of Gossip Girl, they don't know whether they want Lily and Rufus to be together at the end or Dan and Serena. Because you can't have them both being together. That's a bit too weird. So that's why I think we see such a strong Lily and Rufus relationship. Because the writers they didn't know. And then in the end they were like, no. You know what, let's just make Dan and Serena be together. And although that's the way it should have been, that's the way I like it, I would have much preferred seeing Lily and Rufus. Like, I would sacrifice Dan and Serena for Lily and Rufus. Like, I would have Dan and Serena not be together if that means I could see Lily and Rufus together. That would mean everything. Because to me, the power couple of this show, Blair and Chuck, of course. If Blair and Chuck were together, which they do end up together in the end, you have Blair and Chuck together and Lily and Rufus together, that is perfect. Serena can end up with whoever she wants. Dan can do whatever he wants. I just want Lily and Rufus together. I loved Lily and Rufus together. And yeah, that's it. That's my unpopular opinions. Those are my views on this show. Was this a bit long? I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you think. All of you people that have watched Gossip Girl, let me know what you think. And yeah, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one, which is going to be a very serious one, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye.